I think first I was very lucky to do this sport because, as I said, it's a fantastic school of self-control. It's, you are surfing the razor's edge among thousands of crazy fans that time. The adrenaline that this sport gives you is just unbelievable. Then it was a fantastic life because you are traveling, discovering new places where even no tourist can think about going, and in the very friendly atmosphere with Ricky and everything, with all the drivers. It was a fantastic time. I have a fantastic life, really, a very special life, and I appreciate it even more today, I think.
When I was 16, my father got a Volvo Amazon in the classic historic class. So he needed a co-driver. And I said, oh, I would like to give it a go. It would be cool to see what it's like. And I just loved it. So that was my introduction quite late at the age of 16 as a co-driver. So that was a fantastic way into the sport, and to see him drive. I then thought, wow, it could be quite cool maybe to take the license and try to do an event, and I was hooked. I couldn't stop. Looking back in history, it's been a difference. Cars or mechanical things have always been maybe more male dominated, but it is such a great environment for women. There's so many cool jobs to have within motorsport, so many interesting things, and I'm so happy now to see that we have mechanics and engineers that are women. I just hope now we can have some more female bosses and maybe more women in other positions, also within maybe the FIA or in other places. But we are getting there step by step, and I've always also thought that, why do we need this? Why do we have to have our own commission for women? But there is a difference, and it's been harder before for women to actually get into the sport or get certain jobs. So I think it's a great thing. And also Michèle, she's been my idol. She was my hero. I remember so well in 1985, she was driving in Torsby, and I got a photograph of her and Patricia Ponce that I had, in my bedroom, and I thought, oh, they are so good, So she was really, really a big idol, and what she achieved, and I mean, it's still she's still the only woman who have won. I think it's time, hopefully, that we can have more girls in the sport to follow her footsteps, and to be in the absolute top.
I started small events in Norway reporting, and it just grew and grew. And in 2014, I got a call from actually Steve Saint saying, hello, would you like to fill in for Neil Cole at the World Rallycross Championship? And I thought, I'd done some Norwegian TV up until that point. And I thought, whew, that's quite an opportunity. And I just dove into that as well. And from there on out, it was half a season there. And then I went back to commentary for Norwegian TV on WRC. And then I remember at the end of 2015, I'd worked for Norwegian TV the whole year, and I said, if I don't go and ask somebody, I'm never going to find out. And so I remember going through a contact I had at the promoter, and I said, can you get me a meeting? And that was Wales Rally GB. I'll never forget it. I met with Jona, and I met with KP, one of the producers, and I just said, do you have a job? Is there something available? And I thought, nah, we'll contact you if there is. I thought it would be one of those kind of answers. And they said, I think we do. And that just started this incredible journey and this incredible job.
When I first started in the championship, I have to admit, coming into a sport which is male dominated in terms of the sportsmen, the engineers, the mechanics, but also at the time when I joined the championship, the media. There was barely a female to be found as a journalist. Yes, as PR representatives, there were females, but as journalists, no. So you come into that world and you look around and you think, okay, there's not really anyone that looks like me here, but I'm going to crack on and do the best that I can. And I've always had the philosophy that, yes, many people and many of my friends will say, oh, did you find it a bit sexist at first? Is it difficult working with all these men? It never has been. I never found that, because in my mind, I wanted to be the best that I could be. I didn't want to compare myself to anyone, and maybe it was a bit easier not having any other people like me around at the time, any other female journalists. It was just men. I just wanted to be the best that I could be, and that's how I strived to achieve what I have.
Women are well represented now in rallying, but I guess it can always be better. It can always be...
I mean, I don't know. We've got a pretty good stronghold in rallying, haven't we? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty impressive. I'm not sure. I think it's just everybody sort of sees us more as an equal platform. We're very blessed in the rallying world. No one has ever questioned any females, I don't think. And it's really rather cool to see the mechanics, the co-drivers. But I think if women want to do it, there's a space open to do it. If you see something that you want to do, there is no barriers. And it doesn't matter because someone might tell you there is, but there realistically isn't. I think a lot of things, you know, like these glass ceilings and things, I don't think they necessarily exist anymore if you don't want them to exist.
Right. President Todt saw just how critical the Women in Motorsport Commission was going to be, particularly going forward.
Yeah. Yes, he wanted, you know, he created the commission and nominate me as a president. And but of course, he has been really much supporting all our program and, you know, educational, promoting and promotional and also sporting program that we had during the year. So it was really important to get the support also. Not only to start a commission, but to get the support to go on.
Yeah, your commission, unless it actually achieves anything, is pointless. But you've had a decade of heading up that commission. What are you most proud of in terms of its achievements?
I think I am immensely proud of what we have collectively achieved over the past 12 years. And especially, I think, you know, the vision that has been accepted and adopted by and supported by the stakeholders, you know, in the sport. And that means that today, I think we have been acting in the right direction, that women can be in motorsport, and we can work to increase the participation of women in all aspects of motorsport, not only the competition, but all the rest, you know, engineer, technician, official. So we have been working on all those programs. And I think today, if I realize, I mean, we have program in cross country with, you know, first of all, selection, training. And last year we had 2 girls who won a world title in this category. Then we had, you know, our most ambitious program was the European Young Women Program with the EU funding. This has been incredible with 8 ASN around Europe working together to develop. Then we have been also doing an assessment in Navarra and the assessment of the top drivers in the single-seater and GT. And this was a start really when really all the top drivers were with us. We knew we had the data of all the girls, and this was the start of program with Iron Dames, with Richard Mille for the WEC, for the ELMS, so all that. And then we developed the grassroots level with the Formula E. We have events for girls on track in Formula E, just for the young girls to discover what is motorsport. Then the 2 last year, we organized the Rising Star program with Ferrari. And this is really to give the chance to a young girl to start and to succeed into motorsport from the karting level to Formula 4 and Formula 3 and all the way up and possibly one day in Formula 1. And then we had also, you know, events in Extreme E. 10 women last year started to fight with men in the same team in Extreme E. And recently now in rallying, we have Rally Star for the girls also. And we have also girls in cross car. So I think in nearly all categories, we have been able to create programs and very good program. And I am completely convinced that this is the only way for women to go up the ladder, to climb the ladder, giving them the right professional condition from the base, from the karting, then to Formula 4, then go up. It's the only way. There is no other way. So I really hope that the new president will continue to develop those programs. And the new president of the Women in Motorsport Commission, who is Deborah Meyer from Iron Dams, will continue to develop this pathway because for me, it's the only way to go up.
FIA Women in Motorsport has been hugely helpful because it has been somewhere for competitors or any female who would like a role in motorsport to look at and to say, oh, actually, there's room for me here. And my message would be to everyone is never to be intimidated by stepping into what is perceived as a man's world, because that is changing rapidly. It is very different to when I started. There are more female journalists, there are more female cameramen, there are more female mechanics within the team, engineers. You know, it's not such an off-balance championship as it was 20 years ago. Things are changing. And changing for the better, you know.
Do you think it's changing fast enough, Bex? Do you think we're seeing quick enough change?
I'd like to see it changing quicker. I would like to see more female representation. I would like to know, women out there can know that they can come and do these kind of jobs, that they can come and commentate. You know, I still people find it unusual, you know, that I'm a lead commentator in a motorsport scenario. I want that to change. I don't want the person I'm talking to on an airplane or on a train to go, oh wow, so you're a commentator on motorsport, and be surprised by that. I don't want that. I want people to go, oh wow, that's interesting, that's great.
It's just to keep knocking on those doors. And I remember getting sponsorship as well in my early days of racing. I got so many no's all the time. And you just kind of have to believe. You say to yourself every day, I want to be A, and then be it. Because, you know, the world has so many opportunities, and we can all do anything we'd like to do. But you have to be prepared to step out of your comfort zone. You have to be prepared that things will be scary and that you might fail. We have to, in order to be better, and in order to learn, we have to fail sometimes, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It means that we learn and we be better and become better. And I think that's my best advice: is don't worry too much about failure. Just keep doing it, and you'll get better at it, and you'll succeed in the end.
Tell me about your feelings when you've achieved almost the absolute ultimate. You've won a round of the World Rally Championship. How did that feel?
I think, first of all, it was a big satisfaction to finish the rally, because, you know, that time it was 5 long days and nights fighting, more than 62 special stages, and long special stages, not 10 kilometers, you know. Then I think the second feeling was, when I remember when we arrived, I was happy for Audi first, for the team, for the mechanic waiting. I can see them with the flowers. I mean, it was really, I was happy for them. And then, of course, you realize that, you know, it gives you so much stronger feeling that mentally I have been stronger to cope with the pressure, because, you know, I was fighting with Ari Vatanen for a few seconds. And so I felt stronger. And at the end, you realize that if you could win once, why not to win twice? So you get this more confidence in yourself for the future.
Petter said he was too young to stop, so he then decided that, okay, let's start our own rally team. So that was the first thing we did. That was such a lot of work, but incredibly fun, you know, to set up your own team. You could handpick your mechanics, your team personnel. You had to buy a car, trucks, all the equipment. It was incredible, and we did that really, really quickly in 2009. I think it was incredible also because, I mean, we weren't a manufacturer team. We had lots of sponsors, we had great help, but we had to do most things by ourselves. We had support from Citroën, we had fantastic mechanics and engineers, but to be able to fight like Petter did, and him, and I have to say both Phil and Chris in 2010 to have that bronze medal, for me is one of the best memories, you know, to fight with the big teams and still do those results. Incredible times.
In Norway, it's quite popular for young people who've just got their driver's license to take the car out and to meet other people with cars. And there was a big environment where I grew up, and I loved it because we would all gather on a Wednesday evening, and this was sort of way back when, and we'd have police radios, and we would, you know, you'd sort of corner off a piece of road, lots of people getting together just talking cars, and I did enjoy the thrill of it, but I also felt, you know, this, perhaps I shouldn't be doing exactly this, perhaps I should be taking this out onto a track and finding out if that's something I enjoy. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up taking my road car on a track day, and that was it. I was kind of sold from that day on.
Yeah, and you know what? You enjoyed some success, didn't you? And tell us about that. Tell us about the success and the level that you got to, because it was a very decent level.
Well, I guess for some people might think so, but I took my road car and I sold that, so I had enough money to build my first race car, which took me 4 years, a lot of help from friends and just saving money. And I was actually supposed to start with drifting, because that was kind of what I saw when I went to these big street car events. I saw the guys throwing the cars sideways. I was like, oh, that looks like fun. So my first race car was a old Japanese 200 SX with rear wheel drive, turbo engine. And it was fast, and I started just in some small races, and then I got on to doing some GT racing in Norway. And then 2013, AMCAR, which is a huge organisation in Norway, which is mainly for old American car owners. They're all part of this organisation. They said they were going to buy a Ford Mustang from America, so from Howe Racing, which also build NASCARs. And they were going to buy in a car for a Scandinavian series, and they said, we want you as our driver. And I'd only been driving for 3 seasons. And I thought, am I ready for that? And I thought, nah, I'll just say yes. I'll just dive into it like I do with most things. And it was incredible. I drove a big series in Denmark called the Danish Thundersport Championship, where I was up against Jan Magnussen, which is Kevin Magnussen's dad, who's done Le Mans many times and long distance racing and a lot of other big names, because in Denmark racing is a lot bigger than it is in Norway. But in 2015 I had a massive crash. The brakes failed at 220 kilometers an hour on a street race. So street racing is perhaps the closest you can get to a rally, because you're on a narrow piece of road and it's just concrete and fences and that's it. And the brakes failed, and I smashed into another competitor's car at 217 kilometers an hour and then straight into the wall. Totaled the car, put myself into massive debt, had to rebuild this car for AMCAR, who'd sponsored sort of everything. And I tried to claw my way back, but it just became too difficult. So after that, I did 2 seasons in something called Danish Super Turismo, which is sort of like a mini DTM series. But both of those series were one-make series, and we were 25 to 30 cars on the grid, and it was tough, sort of door-to-door racing, and I loved it.
We're quite privileged. I think we've got such an amazing group, particularly of men as well, around us in motorsport, and everybody's very kind, and I don't think anyone's ever looked at me as a female in motorsport. You're just a journalist doing your job. And even, like you said, you mentioned rallycross. I did rallycross, and Andrew Coley, who was the presenter at the time, the commentator at the time, and Guy Wilkes, they just took me under their wing, so kind, so nice. And no one's ever made it that difficult for me, and it's always been so much fun to be part of, and because it's my life from when I was young.
Just how intense was that year for you? You'd come off the win in 81, 82 was your chance at the title.
Yeah.
How intense was it? How difficult was it?
It was, you know, as I said, I started the season. For me, I could win another event, but, you know, you start the season, you don't think about title, you know, you start about trying to do the best you can. And then, of course, I won Portugal, then I won Greece, then I won also Brazil. From that, you know, the calculation was quite good. And when we saw that it was possible to play for the title and to go for the title, so of course then everybody was concentrated on that. And when we arrived at in Ivory Coast, of course we knew that if I could win there, the title was, I had just have to finish in England, and it was really done, you know. Except that everything went wrong in Ivory Coast First of all, because my father passed away the day of the start, in the morning of the start, and I wanted to go back home. My mother convinced me that I have to drive for him. And of course, for me, it was a big drama. And so I said to Fabrizia, we will not tell anybody, and I will start. I don't want anybody to know, because if not, it will be impossible. And I thought, driving, concentrate only on that. I was 1 hour, 20 minutes ahead of Walter after the second loop, when suddenly I felt the gearbox a little bit hard. And Anu said, with so much advance, you have to change the gearbox. But all went wrong, because when they changed the gearbox, the two mechanics did a big mistake. It took much time than planned, and then no gear and no clutch when I came back. So we lost all this big advantage that I took. And then, of course, difficult. It was during the night, foggy. I wanted to catch up the time that we lost, and I made a mistake in the fog, trying to catch the time, and I went off. But okay, that has been quite difficult. So I finished runner-up this year for the championship. But I am always saying that, today I even didn't remember the title. I don't remember the title, but I think about my father nearly every day, So it was no comparison, for me.
Yeah.
So it has not been so difficult.
And did you find that running the team as a woman in a motorsport, in a male-dominated motorsport, was that an issue at all? Did you ever feel it was an issue? Did you ever come across situations where you thought, hang on a minute, the boys don't get treated like this? Or was it just head down, get on?
I've always been in a very male-dominant a male-dominant environment. It was the same when I was driving, the same in school. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I was the only girl in the class. And I think also growing up in Sweden, the possibilities for men and women, at least in, I think, Scandinavia, but especially Sweden where I grew up, it's very equal. I could take the same education, I could do what I wanted. My mom and dad have always supported us kids, to do what we wanted. We've never sort of heard that, oh, you're a girl, you can't do this or that. So for me, that was never a thought in my head, that it should be different for me because I'm a girl. But I can clearly see, from traveling much more, that the world is very different. It is not, a certainty that even women or girls can go to school in the same way. So of course there is a difference, but I have never felt it, and I've never sort of looked at myself to be different because I'm a woman. I've never had a problem. People's always been very friendly and helpful, and I've always good.
You are resurrecting your racing career in rallying. We couldn't be happier. Tell me about that. That was quite some outing.
Yes, it was. And looking back, when you're able to sort of land a little bit from it and look back, I'm just so proud I managed to get through it, because it was nerve-wracking. And my husband's a rally driver. He does a Norwegian championship. Yeah, he's popped into WRC2 and PWRC back in the day. But he has a Subaru Impreza Group N car. And he just said, come on, we've spoken about it many times. The best place to begin is a winter rally. And I said, it's back to what I said earlier. You just have to say yes to things. You have to jump off that ledge and out of the comfort zone. And I thought, yes, I'm going to do it. And mostly I wanted to do it to just be even better at my job, just to be able to go back to WRC, to stage end reporting, and have that in the bank. I've done a rally in a four-wheel drive Group N car. Meeting the likes of Juho Hänninen and Jari-Matti Latvala today, and they're like, oh, well done. And I sort of felt there was a different camaraderie there. There was a sort of, oh, welcome to the Drivers Club.
So are we going to see more? Is this the start of, a burgeoning third career in motorsport, second, third career, whatever it is?
Wow, motorsport for me is 24/7, and I love the media side of things, the traveling, all the experiences, but I also love getting behind the wheel, and I'm obviously not going to start something serious with it, but it was an incredible experience, and just everything from the reccie's exhausting, Probably not for the guys who do it every other weekend, but for me, just the notes, everything was so new and it was just relentless. Long day and just this constant sort of repeating the notes in my head as we're going through the stage. Oh, my brain was absolutely fried at the end of it.
It's a skill. It's a skill to be able to drive the notes, isn't it? And it's a skill that, you know, a lot of people haven't managed to master. Did you manage to get on top of that and actually drive to the notes?
I'll admit it's hard. I think it's normal for the first rally to not be able to trust 100%, because we as human beings, when we look out the window of a car, we see what we see and we drive on what we see. And to shift that to driving on what someone else is telling, that was tough. But I did make an effort. I did try as hard as I could. And I think I can definitely say there were some places where there was 6 left and 6 left, 6 right, that I just said, okay, just go for it. And that was an incredible sensation.
You have been the world's greatest female motor racing driver for 35 years. It's a heck of a record. But I think that you would be the first person to say, I don't want that record anymore. No. I'd like someone else to come along.
Yeah, long time.
Why? It's a long time. It's a long time to have that record. And much as it's the most incredible achievement for yourself, 35 years is a very long time. Why are we still waiting for the next Michèle
I know,
Mouton?
this is a question. And for me, it's very simple. It's very simple. The base of our pyramid is too small compared to men. So we need quantity to have quality. So, you know, for me, it's so simple. It's why we are trying to work at the base to encourage more young girls to discover motorsport, to know what is motorsport. Because I don't know parents who are pushing their boy or their girl to motorsport. You have to be really in a special environment to go into motorsport. It's not a popular sport. It's something special. But until we are so limited in number, we will not have the quality, you know, because it's not easy to have the right talent, given the same condition, the good condition, to go up all the way like I was given. And I think it's the only explanation. It's no more question about strengths, because women cannot do that. Yes, they can do it if they are given the right condition. It's exactly what we are doing now with Rising Stars. And I really hope that more girls will come to motorsport. And this is not easy. It's not easy, but
it's not easy.
It's improving a lot.
Certainly over the past 12 years, it's improved massively.
I would say even the first 5 to 10 years when I started, I had huge self-doubt, which I had to work on a lot. You know, I would look to other journalists in the service park and see how they were doing things. And yeah, you know, you compare yourself to your peers and how things are going on. And I did feel doubt in my ability. That took a long time to gain that confidence. I think I am still growing in confidence. You know, I can't say I'm uber confident. You know, I can walk out, I can host a press conference in front of hundreds of people. But there are other parts of my job which still, you know, you get the little butterflies and you question, have I done this right? Have I said this right? Could I have done this better? Yeah, I think if I was talking to my younger self, it would just be a bit more confident in your own ability. Push yourself forward a little bit more, because I really did not do that at the start. I was very much kind of, you know, behind the scenes, behind the microphone on the radio for so many years. I know I'm behind the microphone now, but it's a different thing nowadays to what it was back then. So yeah, confidence, I think, is the main thing. Have more confidence.
I think passion is contagious, and I just absolutely love it. You know, Seb Marshall calls me the biggest bobble hatter. This term was new to me because I'm obviously Norwegian, but I'm the one who's always wandering around service taking pictures of rally cars and just loving the atmosphere. I like to be in this environment, and I couldn't imagine being anywhere else. And I think that is quite contagious, and perhaps other people see that passion and they say, oh, we'd like to have her on board. And yeah, it's opened more and more doors, and it's just incredible.
It is not the same possibilities all over the world. I think we're very fortunate in Scandinavia, maybe in Sweden, maybe in Europe in general, that women have the possibilities, but it's not the same all over the world. So I think it's really important that we have a strong will and strong, commission that can show that this is a place for everyone and that women also can have really cool jobs within motorsport.
So advice, what advice would you give then to those young women that do want to make their mark in motorsport? If you had a little bit of advice to give them, what would that be?
Just chase your dream, follow your dream, and just go for it. If you get the chance, you go for it, and if you're not given the chance, look for it. You know, don't give up. There's so many things you could do.
But what would your advice be to the next generation, to someone that perhaps wants to emulate your achievements?
I think I would say you have your place in motorsport. Nothing is impossible if you really want, but nothing is easy. And motorsport is open to everyone. We have the chance to have one of the three sports where it's no difference in classification between men and women. And motorsport is, we have this chance. So I mean, come and enjoy. It's a fantastic sport, and just try.